So, there were so many meetings, I really can't tell you. So, the Long Range Planning Committee at a meeting in September. So this started on in 75. In September 1976, that's how long it took to go ahead with this proposal. Um, so at a special visiting meeting in early December 1976, so that this is now only 3 years after the consecration of the cathedral. Dick Wadhams, does anybody remember Dick Wadhams?
School daughter.
I remember Dick Wadhams. He moved that the vestry recommend to the parish that the 35, I'm quoting this verbally, 35,000 square feet of the church property east of the cathedral be alienated by lease or sale for the purpose of erecting 100 units of housing, 100 units of housing for the elderly and handicapped under HUD Section 2028 program, for which the cathedral has received a reservation of $3 million. And this was a loan. So the parish then, of course, they had won a meeting. So then the special parish meeting that was called before the end of December that year, and the dean had already, he was going to go away on some sabbatical or something. No, he couldn't have been on sabbatical. Yes, he was. No, he couldn't have been on sabbatical. Or something, he was going to go to England or something for a couple of months around early December. So he decided to put that off. That is now Dean Boyer. So at the December 13th, 1976, the parish voted to go forward with the HUD funding, and they voted to establish 100 units for elderly and handicapped on the 35,000 square feet of property on the east side of the cathedral. So that was in 1976 that happened. And that's what they called was the birth of Three Cathedral Square. In the minutes it says that was the birth of Three Cathedral Square. So,
can I add a piece of history? Because you and I have had a long history with this. In 1971, Maureen and I were at the University of Florida, and I was studying to get my MBA. And the dean called me, because he knew I was in the hospital administration program. He called me and asked me my opinion about senior housing. And I happened to be doing work with the Dean of Nursing at the University of Florida, who was working with the Episcopal Diocese in Jacksonville. And the diocese in Jacksonville owned a hospital, and they owned a senior housing facility. And I put Don in touch with the person that was running that mission.
so
That was in
was this
1971.
71? Because 71 was when the church burned down.
It was late in 71, maybe early 72, but
Yeah, it must have been later than that, because they didn't start thinking about this
so
until after we moved into the cathedral.
So it may be
probably just the timing.
the point is
So back
giving
then-
credit to the dean's vision for the future, and
Yeah.
that way back then he was exploring the potential for thinking about what to do next.
Oh.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Who was the dean?
Dean Boyer,
Yeah.
Tom Boyer.
Thanks for that, Tom.
You're
That's
very welcome.
really interesting. So was that then Dean Kerr or Dean Boyer?
Boyer.
Okay, so
Yep.
so that's okay. And then, even before the end of end of 76, the articles of incorporation were approved for Three Cathedral Square. So we're getting now to almost 40 years since those articles of incorporation were approved. And the first board of directors was already voted on. And I'll tell you, some of you may know these people. The chairman was Jim Veely. Who? Jim Veely, who was then chairman of the vestry. He was senior warden, and he was, and then came Ed Daniel. He was the diocesan treasurer. Yeah. And Julian Gassett. Everybody know Julian? Homer Stewart. Dick Waters, yeah, everybody. And Barbara Ward.
Well,
Nice to hear. Yeah. And she was, just a little bit of history there. Barbara was the first woman ever to serve on the vestry.
Wow.
And it was groundbreaking.
Not surprising.
Excuse me, did you say the first woman to serve on a vestry or this
In this
vestry?
vestry.
This vestry, okay.
Yes. Also, just for some people who knew Marion Thorpe.
Yeah.
You all knew Marion Thorpe. She died, what now, 2 years ago?
Yes.
Yes.
1 year ago.
1 year ago, at the age of almost 101. She was then also on the vestry, and she was the one who actually made the motion. She was then not Marion Thorpe yet. She was Marion Brown. And she made the motion for this to actually start Three Cathedral Square. So these people still live on among most of us. As I said, Jim Veely then had to relinquish his job as senior warden to become chairman of the board of directors of Three Cathedral Square. So then, before they could do anything, there was so much that had to be put in place before they could even break ground. There were a lot of negotiations with the city. First, they had to figure out what services they were going to get from the city in lieu of taxes. Now, I'm not sure whether those things have changed over the years. So I think it was fire and police, and what else, Alice, you've been on board?
I'm not sure, but I think it'd be said, any school or nonprofit would have the same things, yeah.
So I think the city has been very generous in a way to services that they provide. And maybe, Dave, you know more about that, where that is right now.
I honestly don't, but
The city,
definitely they provide fire and police.
the city has been generous at times, difficult at other times. We've had some difficult issues over the in lieu of payments, but by and large, it's been pretty good.
And then there was a lot of conversation about the mission. And what else other than housing should our mission be in this building? And then that's when they talked about Meals on Wheels at that time was looking for a kitchen. Now, Meals on Wheels, and the kitchen is still there, isn't it? It is.
Yes, they still do it.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah.
And that was the original, home of Meals on Wheels.